Welcome to the StartupGeist Podcast. This is a We Are Self-Made episode. This is the fifth out of 5 episodes where we document the journey of an entrepreneur over the last 6 months. This is not your traditional show on entrepreneurship with quitty quotes about failing fast and often, but an honest look at the good, bad, and ugly. As we always pointed out, it's considered to be an experiment among a few friends. We hope you enjoy it because this is the last episode. Today I'm speaking to Callum. He's known for building a membership website in New York, building several e-commerce companies, and he was in a transition over the last month. He moved from Southeast Asia to Leeds, back to England, where he comes from, and he's already smiling. And his journey was covered in episode number 5. So if you want to know more about his journey in total, he spent some time in New York, Southeast Asia as a digital nomad. Listen to this show. And there I also linked to the 5 check-ins we did over the last 6 months. And thanks, Callum, for being back on the show. Appreciate it.
Sure, man. Anytime. I'm excited for this chat.
Yes. So looking back, this is unplanned for me right now. I just want to go over your transition period because I'm in a transition period right now as well. And this show, I want to focus on what did you do in the last month that now prepared you to do the job you're doing. So maybe you can give us a quick picture of what you're doing right now and how your transition looked like. Just give us an update.
Sure. So I think when we last spoke, I was in a bit of a learning phase in Chiang Mai. So I was spending a good 4 to 6 weeks just pouring through marketing books and figuring out what how I could increase my knowledge in marketing and branding, particularly branding, to be honest with you, because it's a whole different ball game. And so I carried that on really into the UK, and then over Christmas I was lucky enough to get some awesome books from my family for Christmas. So I read through them, and then I started work properly about 2 weeks ago. So up until then, it was all a learning phase, and then we got into a new office, and we got sorted with a lot of new, moving equipment around and everything like that. And I know you've seen the new office with the gym inside and stuff. So I was building all that equipment, so it took a while, and then then I just started.
What was important for the office? So tell us about 3 components you have there that are important to your work ethics and work success.
Sure. So, we both have very, very similar values. And I think me particularly, I wanted to align the office around my own values, of health and love and growth. And so, one of my core ones being health is I didn't want to have to travel and commute to the gym and then have to deal with, loads of muscle-bound dickheads staring at me in the mirror, flexing their pecs. So I just cool, let's have a gym in the office. And so we chose an office that had 3 separate rooms, and we have a really, really nice gym in one of them with a squat rack and dumbbells and everything that we need. I went a bit crazy and just bought half of Amazon for mobility equipment as well. I've got golf balls and hockey balls and foam roll, you name it, I've got it in there. And then I've got an office section where we work, and in there is the growth. We're growing mentally. And growing the business, and I guess you could say we're growing physically in the gym as well, which is connected. And then we also have lots of plants everywhere and cool motivational stuff all over the walls, pictures and all that stuff. And then we also have a separate room which is a stock room and a small little kitchen area. So yeah, that's the way it's laid out, and it's a beautiful space to work. It's you go in there, it's boom, this is to work out here. This is where we grow the business here. I really like it. It's been a game changer for me. Instead of working out of coffee shops for 18 months, and working out of just from my laptop, it's really, really made a difference to me, my productivity and in my mindset around work.
What's the few learnings you can already share? You were a digital nomad, as you said, for 18 months, and you had an office, you had coffee places as an office, you had a proper office. How does it feel right now being back home, settling, grounding yourself, committing to this one idea you're part of now? You're not the original founder, but you're part of the founding team. This can be potentially really big. How does it all feel? What are a few learnings you can share?
So how do I feel about my transition to moving here and starting a new company? Is that
you don't need to hold this? Yes,
I know it's the background noise that I
No,
feel like it's gonna.
it's okay, but you make it more noisy when you hold it, actually.
Really,
Yes,
really.
it's
Okay,
okay.
okay, okay.
Sorry
Sure.
for interrupting.
No, no, no. How do I feel about moving back to the UK? Well, um, my gut feeling is that, it's only been a short time so far. My gut feeling is I couldn't have made a better move, to be honest, because I feel like I'm here for my family now. I'm here for the business, and the biggest change for me has been having someone to bounce ideas off constantly. And I think that that is the dream. Ideally, is that in a year's time, we're both in a position where we can have these internal staff meetings and we can tell the team what we want them to do, and they go out and they make our vision happen. And I've not really had that privilege to do. I've not had that before. I've always been me coming up with the ideas, executing them, and doing it like that. And so this, first of all, the actual layout and the structure of the business model and the working environment is perfect for me. It's absolutely perfect, and it's 100% what I want to do. And second of all, I kind of touched on this a little bit. Working with other people, particularly people that are really smart and intelligent and that also complement you, has been important for me. Steph is, very different to me, but also very similar in some ways. And like I said, the differences between us, they complement each other. And so we get into debates all the time. We disagree with each other all the time. But we both have the emotional intelligence to understand that we're not trying to like annoy each other intentionally. It's just that we're trying to go back and forth and figure out the best route to success, right? And so I think that that's also been huge for me. It's having someone to complement me and complement my skill sets, which is opposite.
Yeah.
So overall,
can I add something to this?
Sure.
I think this is what I just experienced this morning with my girlfriend. And it might be totally unrelated, but I believe it's similar to business and emotional or life with loved ones, but it's like a really good debate if you get to a point of then understanding each other better and knowing where the other person comes from. It's so beneficial. And in my past relationships, I sometimes even shied away because that's what I learned from my mom. Always keep it under the rug, don't talk about it. Is this what you mean with having good debates and then coming to a conclusion where both sides have been heard, and then you made like the decision maker makes the hopefully best decision for the company?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's really refreshing to have that level of communication with someone. And Steph is, he's got a decade of experience on me in life and in business. So I did expect some level of it from him, but he's definitely impressed me because as we both know, being the communicators that we are, it's difficult sometimes to find people on that level. And so, yeah, he's really matched me, and he's complimented me a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any other learning?
It is frustrating, though. I will give you that. Sometimes it is frustrating because you're just like, I just want to move forward. Let's do this. But in the end, it always works out better when you just hash it out, and you just go at it and then you come up with a better plan. It's just that sometimes you can be like, no, like this is my idea. Let's just move forward. But
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's always better long term.
I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
You worked alone before, but Steph was an advisor to your company, and I know from our experience here, you had regular phone calls even. Like, he was quite active as an advisor. How is this role different from having now a real team, like the two founders being in the same office and having those debates almost regularly, I assume, versus what you had before? You're working on your company, and once in a while, maybe once a week or twice a week, which is already a lot, you have a phone call with someone helping you.
I 100% prefer in person. There's just for me personally, there's no comparison because I'm a people person. I literally feed off other people's energy, and so if someone else is in the room with me, I'm getting their feeling. I'm understanding how their day is going. I'm understanding the context of where they're coming from at that particular moment in time. And so that really helps me to like understand the situation, the point that's trying to be discussed, and it really helps you as a person. It really does. And me and Steph have got closer as friends, also as business partners. and it's been really, really beneficial. And from now on, I don't want to say this like, you know, engrave it in stone or tattoo it on myself, but I think that I would be highly, highly unlikely to ever do anything on my own,
Yeah.
because I just don't enjoy it. I just don't get anything from it. I mean, some people would prefer that. I think a lot of digital nomads, they like the independence of working by themselves and sitting down and doing it, but I've never really been like that. I like to spend time alone, but my dream is having, I was watching The Wolf of Wall Street the other night, and I was thinking, fuck yes, like a room full of people, and I'm just stood there, just like, right, let's get, like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do, not like that, like, are you behind your credit card bills? Good. Pick up the phone, start dialing. Like literally, it's like, I don't see myself doing that. Yeah, I do secretly. I do. But I just see myself
Among people.
spreading ideas among people. Yes. And then also building good relationships with those people.
Yeah, as you said, like in this interview and before, and we both know it and feel it because we love each other so much. It's like we are so similar, and that I made the same realization. After my startup journey with two French engineers, I shied a little bit away from getting into another team setup, and we have been discussing this quite a while. Hey, would you be doing something together or not? And I've been always really shy, and this was the reason actually. And then, I mean, I learned so much, about myself, my ego. How was it for you working alone? What are the few benefits you would say why you needed this phase and why you're now more equipped in a team?
Yeah, I think hindsight is a great thing, right? You always, when you're going through something, you don't really realize it because you're just in the flow of the river. But looking back now, I feel like I needed to work alone to realize I needed to work in a team. As simple and as dumb as that sounds, And some specifics, I mean, I could think of one or two. One maybe would be that I can't, like, when I'm on my own, I tend to get in my head a lot, and as a type 6 on Enneagram, what that means is that my primary motivations in life are fear-based, right? So I will get an idea or a thought in my mind that has come from a fear-based habitual pattern. And what happens is, as a person, it really helps me to have someone there to hash it out with. So if someone's there in the office, I'll just take a couple of minutes and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Da, 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 da. And they'll be like, Callum, shut up. That's ridiculous. We're not doing that. Right? And I'll be like, oh, cool. Awesome. Whereas if I'm on my own, and that gets me out of my head, because I'm taking the thought, I'm taking action, I'm just getting it out there, right? It's just out of my head. When I'm on my own, sometimes when I'd be sat in a coffee shop, I'd think about an idea, and then I'd literally just go round and round and round and round in my head about this idea. And what would happen would my energy would just get very dense, very stuck, like tight, and I'd just be like going da, 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 over and over. And I could never really express it or release it. And I just wanted someone just to tell them, just be like, listen, what do you think about this? Or I just wanted to sort of express it in some way. And I think that that's just because I'm a very, very people-oriented person, and I didn't really have that there. So that actually also affected my state a lot of the time, because I would start to just go down the more I got inside my head and the less I took action.
Yeah.
So that would be.
Would you say that the working alone period helped you to get to know yourself better, which helps you now to make better decisions when it comes to career, team setups?
Maybe. I mean, I'm always getting to know myself every day. I don't think that working alone particularly did that for me. I just think, I think that it just gave me more space to realize things. But yeah, I'm definitely, I don't see it as being what I was meant to do in business at all.
I can relate to it. I can relate to it. And I mean, I'm now 32, but I came up with this theory to protect myself and older entrepreneurs. It's not the actual age that matters, but when you started your entrepreneurial career. And for example, the both of us, because you are 10 years younger, and I could beat myself up like, look at him, he is doing what you are doing, and then
Sure.
it's easy to feel like a loser when you compare yourself on the age level. But what
Mm-hmm.
actually counts is when you start your journey. And I started my journey with 27, which is 5 years ago. It's
Right.
around the time you started your journey, and then you see similar patterns. So it's not 32 to 23 or anything. It's no, when did you start your journey? And this is something I learned just recently to protect myself. Of course, we all know we shouldn't compare ourselves, but it's always so easy to repeat those mantras or beliefs, but not truly believe them. So this helps me.
Well, I mean, the thing with entrepreneurship as well is that I never judge anyone based upon their history in entrepreneurship, because it's such a volatile game, meaning like you could fail entrepreneurship for 10, 15 years, and then all of a sudden you hit on something and you're the next billionaire, and then all of a sudden you've been a genius your entire life, and everyone forgets about the 15 failures you've had, and so there's dozens and dozens of cases of this. Look at like someone like James Altucher or someone like that, who's like he made millions, then went bankrupt, then failed at 10 other businesses, and then got another, and so I think that like for me, what I tend to judge people more on is their will, their ability, their mindset, their character, because that all for me is so much more inspiring than I made $1 million or I made $1 billion. It's just not, because for whatever reason, I was watching the Steve Jobs movie like a week or two ago, and Ashton Kutcher did a really good job, and he was like, I wasn't inspired whatsoever, because while Steve Jobs built this incredible company, he was a total asshole the whole way. And that did not inspire me at all, which makes me understand that it's so much deeper for me. And so entrepreneurship is about growing as a person as well as a business. And this is just my own take on it, and that I do not think time or age has anything to do with literal success, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And there are so many options within entrepreneurship, right? Look at me. I first looked into startups, billion-dollar companies. We see money. You want to grow or die, Then I switched to the other side, lifestyle businesses. Oh, I do passive income. I was so naive, right? Almost like a little kid. And honestly, I didn't have respect for building a passive income business. Any business is hard. And I thought, coming out of the startup game, I thought, oh, passive income gonna be easy. I just gonna do a year or so. Then I have my 10K per month. So easy, and then I can build a real business. But the passive income, so stupid in my head. I already set myself up like, oh, this is not a real business, and actually I want to do something else. In hindsight, as I said, you're always smarter, and I'm happy for all those humbling lessons. I want to talk about your transition, and maybe speak a little bit to what can people do. Like for example, in my case now, when you're in a transition. In hindsight, what went well and what would you change? Like, when were you too much in your head? Maybe you worked too early on the new company. Would you have taken more time off? I don't know. Like, just share a few thoughts around transition times and why they might be important.
It's a good question. It's a really, really good question. I think it's an interesting period in my life, right? Because it wasn't, in normal situations, you just have one person who's transitioning from a business to another business or whatever. I was transitioning my entire life, right? I was transitioning from a relationship. I was transitioning a location, my family, my health. Everything was transitioning, like every little detail of my life, right? And so I'm really proud of myself that I didn't get so overwhelmed that I lost my shit. But it helped. My one big realization from that transition period was that I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of the time we like crave growth, and that we crave like instability, right? Like we want to just like constantly be like feeling it. The issue with that though is that if you don't, a table can stand on 3 legs, but it's wobbly, right? And that was me for the last transition period of my life. I was very wobbly, I was stuck in my head a lot. I was worrying, and I told this to you a lot, just about the dumb shit, like flying, any form of perceived risk in my mind. I started to get really worried about when there was zero point in, because I couldn't control any of it, right? And so I was very wobbly, and I realize now that moving back to the UK, I feel instantly more stable. My mindset is way better, and that transition period allowed me to understand that I spent more time than I'm comfortable with last year being worried about pointless shit and stuck in my head for no reason whatsoever. And towards the end of the year, when I was in Chiang Mai and just kind of flying back, and also in Dubai, and then like transition, like the first couple of days I got back to the UK, I was reading the Complete Enneagram. And it was just an absolute game changer for me, you know, because I've never discovered a text that allowed me so decisively to just go, wow, this is exactly your behavioral patterns. Like word for word, this is exactly what you're doing. And it's based on a triangular format, which means that you have, like, let's say you're like this point of the triangle, or let's say you're at the tip here, you can move in either direction to the triangle, right? And so let's say I'm a type 6, I can either move to type 3 or type 9, and type 9 would be the area where I go to be my worst self, and type 3 would be the area I go to show up as my best self. And for me, what I realized is that, and I see this in my parents so much, is that I hover around this centigrade when I move to the type 9 area, which is a type 9 often has thoughts of not wanting to get out of bed. You want to stay under the covers and you don't want to go out and face the world. And when I'm at my worst, those are the thoughts that I get. I become deeply lazy, like the laziest motherfucker you've ever met, just like on the bed, do not want to move, you know. And I just get these ridiculous, toxic thoughts when I'm in there, of laziness. And then when I move over to a 3, I get these really driven, emotional, intelligent thoughts about how do I improve the world? How do I make people better? How do I grow? How do I help others to grow, right? And so then I move back to my center point, which of a 6 is like, okay, I know I can access these two points, but when I'm here, I'm on this tightrope where I'm balancing making my actions be brave and taking risks with managing fear around those actions, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because knowing that my brain automatically, I'm not choosing this, is looking at the environment and it's scanning it for where there is risk. And wherever there's a risk, it's immediately will try and focus on that one thing, right? And I notice this when I'm driving, you know, when I'm very, very hyper aware to everything that's on the road all the time, which kind of links back to when I was in school. Whereas, you know, I would always like be the bottom of the class for like press ups and shit like that, right? But I would always get highest marks possible on how do you call it, like visual spatial awareness. Like, you know, if you drop a ball, you know, like cat-like reflexes.
Yeah.
Like if someone like threw a ball over my head, I could just be like boom and get it there, you know, like shit like. Or like if someone like threw a banana at me, like I wasn't looking, I could just go boom and like get the banana, like shit like that. Like I'd always score off the charts for. But then all the other physical stuff in gym class, I'll be like, fuck. But to wrap this full circle, it's that moving away from those type of behavioral sets is being very, very important, and realizing that. The next biggest thing, which I think equals that or could be even bigger, is I've spent so much of my definitely transition period and of my life, actually, it was just heightened in the transition period, which is trying to fix a problem at the same level of thinking that created it. Yeah. And Albert Einstein said that quote, and I always intellectually understood it, but I never deeply, truly understood it. And what it means for me now is that when you have a thought pattern, right, and you want to go to a workshop or read a book or whatever to try and improve it, to try and fix it, right? It's not fixable, because that information for me wasn't going to help me. What was going to help me was to rise above consciousness, was to literally rise above the thoughts and allow my brain to no longer connect to them, like no longer like the synaptic pathways, to just like release them and remove the loop, right, the thought loop. And so that means meditate loads, meditate, right? And that's been my other biggest takeaway, was meditation now has become a point where if I don't meditate at least 30 minutes a day, I'm getting into an hour a day. Let me rephrase that. It's not if I don't have to do it. It's that there's so much more clarity to my thought patterns when I meditate versus read a book on how to fix anxiety, how to fix right? It's just because I'm stuck then thinking about it instead of just going above and just allowing the thoughts to just slowly release themselves. And that's been a huge lesson. And both of those things.
Because you feel you have this innate well-being, right? And self-protecting and self-repairing mechanism, which you can't unlock by reading a book, but by creating space, by grounding yourself.
Right.
Wow.
And because when you're still reading stuff, you're thinking about the pattern, right? Yes. So like when I read about anxiety, I'm thinking more about the problem, and therefore I'm basically like strengthening the loops in my mind, right? It's like whereas when you're on these habitual patterns, it's like they've been running for years. They're so strong that it's so easy for your mind to just go bang straight back to it, that you literally need to like loosen the rope. As bad as an analogy, it's like you need to like loosen the rope and loosen it and loosen it and loosen it. And the only way to loosen it is literally to shut off that part of your brain. And if you want to get, science and stuff, it's literally going to a theta brainwave state, which is completely different. So you literally rise above that. And then once you get to that phase, it's just like totally different, completely different. How you doing? And so when you get there, it's another level,
How important would you say is transition time and taking time to reflect on your last endeavor, on your new endeavor, without jumping too quickly into something? Do you develop a sense already of how important this period was for you and how you might gonna approach another period? Or if someone asks you, how do I handle this? I just want to make up for the failure I did. I want to quickly do this, but I don't know how. What shall I do? Reading books doesn't feel good. What would you say to someone who is like kind of even stuck or like it's like busyness for busyness sake, right? And gets a lot of self-worth out of working, but holding still actually and stopping, it's maybe one of the most important things to do and barely done by people, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think again, meditation and allowing yourself to go to another area, to another space where and actually I really was speaking about books, but this was a book on meditation about technique, and it was a genius title actually. It's how to lose your mind and create a new one. Very cool. There's basically like a 4-week period where you go through, each single week has a different phase of meditation, and so you're customizing yourself to like even throwing in. So like for me now, I use like I use a Buddhist gong meditation, like a ritual, like a soundtrack on the back, and that just plays. And then there's even some like really like out there stuff where we're really going to Weird Town, which is you literally shouting at yourself, right? And like every time you feel you intentionally in your meditation practice, you feed off of the thing that you're scared of, and you bring it up inside your mind, and then you say change. You shout change right at the thing, and then you bring it up, you shout change, and then you focus on that thought and that feeling. You let it arise up in the body. And the analogy that he was used is like you're sat in a room and you feel like the room is filling with water, and then you feel the water come up your feet, and the water is literally rising. You feel that, and you're about to drown, right? And it's rising all the way up above your head, and it gets above your head, and then you're just underneath the water. And like then the analogy is the emotion has completely taken you over, and you're now swimming in emotion, and you're realizing that it's nothing. It's ridiculous. It's literally a thought. It's an emotion, and that emotion will pass like everything else, like the clouds in the sky. And so and that's worked beautifully for me, is to understand that Callum, I'm not going to fix this bullshit by thinking about it. I've been doing this for years. It's not going to happen. And now I just need to let go. I need to stop thinking and shut off that part of my mind and go to a different level. And once I'm there, I then focus and dealing with the emotions that I'm afraid of. And from that point, I will change my life. I have no doubt about that.
So you're saying that a transition period is actually a golden opportunity to realize what you're fearing. Like, there are always reasons why you failed in your last attempt, right? And it might come from a fear of this, a worry of that. So are you saying that take your thoughts and emotions seriously, look them into the eyes, instead of being busy, create space to let them come up, to really see what is there, and work on yourself and become more aware of what is coming, what you have been hiding from, what is holding you back, be it your family, be it money paradigms that stop you from making money, spending patterns, eating patterns, whatever comes up, right? Just, you're saying, deal with it, take this golden opportunity, use it for yourself, and then new ideas, new opportunities will arise. And in your case, it was already clear what your next opportunity is. So just to make this for people clear, you knew that in 2 months you're going to be doing this. Of course, you might not have this level of integrity when it comes to the meditation practice without knowing what comes next, right? So that's a different use case, right? But you know, you had the certainty knowing what comes next. So we can't speak about the other use case where you don't know what's next. But still,
I don't know what's next, but
let me just finish one sentence there.
Sure.
Or end it at one sentence there. After stepping out of my startup, I didn't know what was coming next. And I literally created space. And then I had ideas. I reached out to people and they hired me. If I would have been whatever, all over the place, those ideas might not have come. So creating space, reflecting is always a good idea. Sorry, what were you about to say?
No, I was going to say, and to figure out like the next transition period for me, I have absolutely no idea. I just feel like I've set my goals out for the year. I have my clarity. I know what I want to achieve personally, and we'll see how things go from there. But my main goal personally for this year is to fix the bullshit fix the negative addiction to bullshit thoughts. That's the main personal goal in terms of being and growth. And again, I'm very, very lucky and very privileged because I'm not, you have people that are definitely mentally ill. They've got they can go over these thoughts like every 5 minutes. It's like bang, bang. I might get it a couple of times a week, whatever. I don't know what it is. Maybe less than that, but I still experience it, and I still think that even that for me, because my standard is so high, what most people would be comfortable with, I'm not. I don't. My life is so short. I only live for such a small period of time, and with my family, with my mom, like I see this, you can happen to you at any time, anything that you don't know. So why would I want to waste 5 minutes of my life stuck in ridiculous thought patterns that do not serve me and that need to just be free and to go and to pass?
Yeah. I think that's a powerful learning, even though I can relate to it, but I think a few years ago I couldn't relate to it. So for any listener, don't try to grasp it, what it intellectually means. But trying to grasp it intellectually, it's the first step of overthinking it. Don't overthink it. Just let it settle. Whatever, if Callum touches your heart and not your head, let it sink, take action. Someone inside you will give you an answer what to do next. And
we're all on the journey, right? We and you both know this. 4 or 5 years ago for me and you, we tried to solve all our intellectual problems by thinking about them.
Sure.
But the beautiful thing is you can speak to people who are 5 years ahead of you, and they can give you and just say, listen, you're chasing a rabbit you're never going to catch. Okay, don't go down there. Just get present.
Yeah.
And match presence with engagement. And I think once you get to that nice balance, you're onto a winner.
Oh yeah. Is there anything left you want to say at the end of this experiment that we covered your journey over the last 6 months? Anything you want to record on tape for later?
No, I mean, I think what I'm going to do is I might take an hour or two today and listen back to the journey over the last 6 months. I'm sure I've changed a lot in different areas of my life, and everything is just how I like to live my life. Everything changes all the time, and so where I would be in 6 months, I mean, I have absolutely no idea. I hope it's going to be a lot further along the path of business growth and of startup growth and of really cementing my foundation in the business world, and cementing my own mental thought patterns. And I think that could be my big thing. But hopefully we'll have another call soon, and hopefully you're still doing this podcast, and we can go from there.
For sure. And I know you're on an amazing track. If you're not giving in to those ugly, annoying thought patterns too much, let's say, and you observe it quicker, I think you're on a golden journey. Even without this, you're on a golden journey. You know this. You have talent in you. I truly believe in you, and I'm curious where it takes you. And for sure, we're gonna speak again in a few months from now on to see, not every 6 weeks, but let's see at the end of the year where, with your involvement and your effort, where you brought the business to, what you learned. And we're gonna speak personally anyway. We are Wolfpack, and this is hugely beneficial. So anyone listening, find a few people. It doesn't need to be a lot, and it doesn't need to be best friends. If they are not entrepreneurs, they can't relate to what you are going through as an entrepreneur or someone who starts the journey. Find people like Callum who I found, and they are hugely beneficial to your life. And I can say from the bottom of my heart that Callum enriched my life so much. I learned so much from him. I could call him day and night to get feedback on some crazy ideas. And actually, I should have done it more often. But my pride is often in a way that I don't want to share those things. And now looking back, that's one of the biggest learnings I have, that I need to involve this guy who is massively knowledgeable much often in my life. And even if it's just a quick WhatsApp message. And if you are looking for those guys, and get out there, meet them, and it's highly beneficial for your life, for your growth, for your mental, emotional stability. And I just want to say thank you, Callum, for enriching my life.
Thanks, man. That means a lot to me. It really does. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Never once felt like work. And I'm sure this friendship will go on for a long, long time.
Yes. Thank you. I know you have a coffee meeting now.
All the listeners, we'll see you at the StartupGeist retreat in South Germany this summer.
We might gonna do something
in Bavaria. In Bavaria.
Why do you want to go to Bavaria? We need to chat about this another time. But it might be something I will be doing for sure. I just want to say thank you for taking part in this experiment, and I wish you all the best, and have fun in your coffee meeting.
Thanks, man. It was a pleasure. See you soon.
Bye.
Take care. Keep going.
StartupGeist Podcast. Entrepreneurs are not born. We are self-made. Please leave an honest rating on iTunes or leave a comment on startupgeist.com/podcast. Thank you for listening.